Hello, well, a question for you. How do you fit a huge hunking industrial sewing machine into a confined space? I'm going to show you a couple of things you can do. First will be cutting down a machine table, and a second, and that's really what I'm doing today, is putting a machine into an existing work surface and save quite a bit of space. Well, this is my cylinder arm machine, and it's actually on a full-size table. And a full-size table for an industrial machine is about 106 centimetres or about 42 inches, very roughly, in width. So quite large, and they go back about 2 foot or so. And I think from memory, 60 centimetres going back. I've got my skiver on a full-size table. I've got this cylinder arm on a full-size table. But I'm going to show you what I did with my juki because I didn't have space for the full width table, so I did a quick cheat. Well, if you're tight on space, the obvious thing you can do is cut down the width of your machine table, and that's what I did with my juki here. So this table is just over 34 inches, which is about 87 centimetres in width, same depth, but I have managed therefore to squash this into quite a confined area. I basically cut off about 8 inches, 20 centimetres off the width, and you still get a reasonable work surface. So certainly for leather work we don't perhaps need quite such a large work surface as you do for like fabric sewing. So that's the easy way of doing it. I'll now show you the other way, which is a bit more involved. So this is my Singer. It actually has the same standard machine size base plate as the juki, although as a machine it looks a lot smaller. What I'm going to do with this one, because I am obviously tight on space, I could in theory fit another table just across here, but I'm going to sink this machine down into this bench, and then I'm going to put a servo motor underneath the bench. So if you are perhaps quite tight for space, this is quite a viable option, just to take an existing table in a corner of a room or whatever and sink your machine into it. I'll show you the sort of approach. Oh, the squirrel is coming along. Hello squirrel, and goes along the fence again. He stares me out, I think I mentioned previously. Sorry about the jaunty angle. And off he goes. So the first step really is to decide where you're putting the machine and then to do a cutout. All the sort of industrial machines tend to have a fairly standard cutout. Obviously double check this just in case yours is different, but for me my machine's there 48 centimetres by 18. So that's the sort of size of cutout I need to make, excepting they have these little like bits on the corners that support the weight of the machine. So you don't cut out like a perfectly squared off hole, you need to leave a bit on each corner. So I've marked out on my desk here the standard insert, and I've just also done little diagonals at each corner so I don't cut those corners out. I've jigsawed all the way around, and I've also made some little larger holes near the corners here, and that's so that I can use my router to go down and then move across and take out a little lip on each corner, so that will level it. I haven't cut across these diagonals because I want my router to actually sit on a good solid base. So I've got the little sort of lip edges that I wanted. So what I can now do is just cut these across, and this whole interior bit of wood will fall away. Bingo! And now a moment of truth as I struggle with the sewing machine to bring it over. And you can see, oops, scissors out the way, if it goes in or not. Yeah. So for the hinges I'm using the fairly typical Singer type hinges. It's like a hook that plugs in the back of the machine, and then a little plate I need to recess, and it's literally just a hooking mechanism like that. I got these from college sewing machines. I get quite a few bits and bobs from them, find them very good. They're on the web. I'll sink those in and fix them as well. So at the moment I've just drawn around the hinges there. I've now recessed and screwed in the hinges. So those both in place there, and one can obviously lift the machine up and plonk it down. I've just been installing a knee lift, so I can now raise and lower the foot with my knee. Keeps both your hands free and you can position your work nicely. So next up I'm going to install one of these digital servo motors. I find these very good, they're nice and quiet and you can take them down to a nice slow speed. And it has a little control box as well, the on-off switch and speed selector, etc. So I need to make a slot for the belt in this work table. Well, this is the servo motor control unit, and I've put it on top of my desk, really just because there's a bit more space. Got the thread stand in position, and then underneath I've now made the foot pedal. So this connects up to the servo motor, and all I've done here, I've got a couple of bits of scrap metal on the sides, and it's a bit of floorboard. Doesn't need much travel, but that's enough to run the motor. I've also put little leather pads on the corners where the machine sits, so everything is now in position and working. So there you have it, a nice little machine in a nice small area. One way of making maximum use of a small workshop. So I hope that's helpful to you. Please subscribe and you'll see what I get up to next. Probably put a bit of speed reduction on this one. And I've got 1 or 2 leather sewing projects in mind. So we'll have a go at those as well. Okay then, bye bye.